Alright, hi folks. We're getting into episode 3 here. This one's going to be all about inferencing. So we highlighted this a little bit last particular episode when we were showing you guys how to be able to draw in the red, green, and blue axis. Um, that's going to be your kind of bread and butter, basic inferencing, right? In order to be able to navigate and draw in a particular axis, so that way we don't get into Willy Wonka land. So we're going to take that a little bit step further today. We're going to show you guys how to, we'll review drawing in the red, green, and blue axis. But then we're going to just say, okay, what if I want to inference off of other geometry that I've already previously drawn? We'll show you how to do that and how to ask SketchUp to give you those reference lines. We're also going to show you guys kind of other color coordinated pieces that SketchUp will give you to help communicate to you where certain parts of your drawing is at in terms of midpoint, endpoint. Are you drawing on the line? Does something cross over? We're also going to show you guys how to inference parallel lines and things along those lines. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw something real quick. Just as a quick review, we're going to come in and just draw kind of a willy-nilly object here that has absolutely no purpose, but it shows here real quick that I'm drawing in the red and green axis. And here's kind of a quick thing. I know this is probably hard to see. There we go. Oops, let me go ahead and undo that. If you're ever in a point where it's giving you a particular axis color that you don't want, the easiest way to do is just push down on that scroll wheel button, orbit around, so that way you can look at it from a different angle. In this case, I want a green axis. And again, if I'm drawing over here and I want to continue, I can hold Shift, click the middle mouse button, and pan as I'm continuing to draw here. And that will allow me to shift while continuing my function there. Okay, so in this case we did talk about this a little bit last time too. If I want to have this particular line that I'm drawing right now be the same length as this endpoint here, the best way to do that is to simply go to the endpoint and give it about 2 seconds, which is enough time to be able to have this dotted line pop in. Now this is going to be kind of hard to see, but you'll see that my line when I'm drawing it is turned red, and eventually I'm going to get a green dotted line going up here. Again, kind of probably hard to see on the screen or the video, but you'll notice that when I go, it'll kind of turn the end there a black dot, and then this will have a black dot as well. So that means that I'm in line in the green axis with that, and if I come in here, draw a green line, that completes that segment. Okay, so that completed that, but let's move forward even more. Okay, so again, if I want to go to an endpoint, you'll notice that this particular endpoint has a green circle. Whenever I see a green circle, I know that I'm going to be clicking on an endpoint of a line segment. Okay, and if you notice that if I move my mouse on that line segment, anywhere that's not an endpoint, it turns a red square. So that means it's just SketchUp is telling me, hey, you're on the edge of the line, but you're not on any particular geometry like an endpoint. Okay, which gives me a green circle. Okay, if I want to know where the midpoint of this particular line is at, when I get to the middle of that line segment, it turns into a cyan circle. Okay, and it snaps to that. So that's the midpoint. So again, I would just click on a line, bring it into the green direction here, click a second time, and now this line is attached to the midpoint. But now if I want to continue drawing here, and let's say I want to access this particular corner or this endpoint of these two line segments, how can I do that? Without guessing or typing in any numbers, SketchUp makes it super easy. Okay, so as I'm drawing in the green axis, I'm going to again hover over that endpoint for a couple moments, which is usually about 2 seconds, and now I can come in here and it should snap in the green axis. Okay, I should be able to see the green line, and I should have a solid, or I should say, you should see a green dotted line mixed in with my solid red line. Click there, and now I can come up, and that's the same length. Okay, so again, I could come in here midpoint. If I want to come over here and access this, 1001, 1002, okay, and I can come up this way. Now if I want to come over here and access this line, 1001, 1002, okay, and snapping and doing that. Okay, I'm just kind of playing around here, but you can see kind of where we're at. So I can go from this midpoint. If I want to go to the midpoint of this line, again, just like what we would do previously, 1001, 1002, that's how we ask SketchUp to be able to infer that. I got to make sure that I'm seeing the two colors though, that line, and now there we go. Okay, so that's how you would use the colors or the communication SketchUp gives you for creating your particular object. Okay, with that. And again, this is kind of a no-no, but I'll just show it to you anyways. If I come in here and look at it, it should give me a black line, or excuse me, a black dot. It doesn't look like that functions anymore. Okay, so let me just exit out of that. And again, I can infer anything in any axis, right? So green here, green line. If I want to access this inference for this endpoint, 1001, 1002, that gives you your blue dot. That one's a little easier to see. Click on it, bring it down. There we go. Okay, so that's pretty easy there to understand that. And again, inferencing is going to be pretty important when it comes to navigating and drawing accurately within this program. And the more you do it, the more you'll know exactly how long you have to wait. It almost becomes muscle memory. However, what I've shown you so far is inferencing in one of the three axes. However, what if I come in here and I have a diagonal line? Okay, now obviously I'm inferencing off of this endpoint, but it's not as easy as this, right? How do I make sure I inference off of this if I was going to draw a parallel line? Okay, so I'm on edge here, so I click once, and I can't really emphasize or infer off of that. So in this case, all I'd have to end up doing is hovering on the edge, not on a particular endpoint. And after doing that, it will turn purple. If it turned purple, it means I am now inferring parallel to the edge that I asked to be parallel with. Okay, so now that those two lines are parallel. If I wanted to continue this and lock in an inference real quick here, I could be clicking here. If I want this to continue being red, but I wanted to move my mouse up here, all I would have to do is getting to the red axis, press and hold the shift key. Now I can move my mouse cursor anywhere I would like to, and it's going to be inference locked, this line in the red axis. You can see how that line actually becomes bold when I hit that shift key. Okay, so this allows me then to move to a particular object quicker to inference it. Now I don't have to actually reference it for 2 seconds. I can just come in here, and again I can inference lock that in the green. Okay, and this is a good example of how you could inference lock it in the blue. So I'm really close where my camera is at. It's pretty stinking close. So if I wanted it in the blue, hold shift. Now I can move that anywhere I wanted to, and it's not going to end up shifting into the green at the last second when I click on that object. Okay, so that's inference locking. Just a quick little tip on how to do that pretty quick. All right, well, in the future videos here, we'll add to how to your inferencing. Um, but for right now, we're just going to show you guys the real simple thing with the line tool for inference locking and navigating that way. Um, because we talked about our rectangles before, again, I could come in here and I can hold shift, and now this aspect ratio of this particular rectangle is locked into place. Okay, so at this point it's not locked in, but it is going to be a ratio of that. So what did we learn in this particular episode? Well, we learned about basic inferencing with the red, green, and blue axis. We learned that the green endpoint for our line segment, excuse me, turns green, so I know I'm on the end. If I'm on the edge of a line segment, it's going to have a red square, and if I'm in the midpoint, it has a cyan circle. If I want something to be parallel, or if I want to make sure that I'm locking the inference to the endpoint that I want, I would just have to hover over that particular line segment end, midpoint, or on edge for a couple moments, about 2 seconds. And then we showed you guys how to lock in a particular aspect ratio on a rectangle or inference lock a line quickly by just holding shift key when you're drawing in that particular axis color. Alright, on the next episode we'll get into a little bit more other stuff like erasing and how we can get a little bit more creative with that. So stay tuned. We'll catch you guys on the next one.